What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the ultimate guide to Brockhampton. I hope you guys are psyched for part 2 of the series because we're going to talk about one of the most underrated members of Brockhampton, that being the one and only Don McLennon. So for those of you guys that don't know him, Don McLennon, or otherwise known as Dominique Simpson, so far no relation to Ian Simpson, that being Kevin Abstract. Was born on July 10th, 1992, and he is honestly probably known as one of the original members of Brockhampton. He's currently a vocalist for Brockhampton, obviously, and he is probably one of the most creative and lyrically gifted artists within Brockhampton. Anyone that has listened to the majority of Brockhampton's songs would know that his verses tend to always really stick out. He has a very big vernacular, a huge language, really knows how to use words very powerfully. And not only that, but from what I can tell, his narratives really carry a lot of weight. It sounds like Dom has been through a lot of stuff in the past, and he does a really good job at translating his memories and his experiences into lyrics. Overall, I would say that Dom brings an emotional intensity and a lot of intellectual substance to the group's music and overall just their vibe. So while some members are known as hype men, like McLennon, for example, Dom is really known as the storyteller, the guy who comes in to really just tie things together and bring people back to the fact that Brockhampton is still here to tell a story. In the words of Dom himself, he says that I'm a musician that happens to rap right now, but I'm a musician first. I want people to know that I'm a creative person who's just expressing himself, though what I want to do is inspire other people. And I think he does a really good job at presenting that image really well. I know for a fact that whenever his verses come up in Brockhampton's music, I really just have to zone in and really pay attention to what he's about to say because, one, he can rap really quickly and really efficiently, but at the same time, it's just the kind of rapper where you want to sit in and take all of what he has to say, word for word. So to talk about Dom's backstory / his origins, Dominique Simpson is originally from East Hartford, Connecticut, which is actually, fun fact, a short drive from Romeo's hometown. But it wasn't until later on that they actually got to know each other, so they didn't know each other right off the bat. So Dom really just says that his origin started back when his family first got a computer, which was back when he was 5. According to Dom, I taught myself how to use the internet at 11 or 12 so I could learn how to make beats. And I'm sure little Dom did just that, and I'm sure he went just as hard back in the day rapping about whatever it is that 11-year-olds could possibly rap about. No, but honestly, Dom is a very creative person. Apparently, he started flexing his creative muscles from a very young age. He picked up the saxophone, piano, and drums as a child, and he also really learned how to appreciate language and literature through the early years. In college, he was actually a journalism major. So I think all these experiences and all these things that he started putting together throughout his life really did influence his role in Brockhampton and his approach to music in general. So who was he before Brockhampton? Well, along with Bareface and Kevin Abstract, Dom is honestly one of the most experienced solo artists within Brockhampton. He has music that dates all the way back to 2012 when he actually won a contest that was run through Pigeons and Planes, which is a music journal. He released his first and honestly his only solo album back in 2013, which was titled Thesis, Side B. According to Dom, this was actually more like a multimedia project, so it doesn't consist of just music, but instead it consisted of photography elements, GIFs, GIFs, whatever you want to call them, and just individual songs that he wrote that weren't really just supposed to have a theme or anything to them, but instead they were just songs that I'm sure he produced way back when, or he produced in the moment, or while he was in school, and he just decided to throw in on this musical project. But aside from that, Dom really got his musical career started when he joined Brockhampton. So unlike everybody else in Brockhampton, which really just came out of Texas, so the people who did come out of Texas were Joba, Matt Champion, McLennon, and Amir. Dom actually comes from Connecticut, so he first came into contact with the crew back in the day, through the internet, through a Kanye West forum, and this was back when Brockhampton first got started, and they were still known as Alive Since Forever, and it actually got started with a Facebook message that he sent to Brockhampton producer Romeo. So according to Dom in an interview, he said that we all connected through social media. Romeo added me on Facebook, and I was surprised to find out that he lived fairly close to me. We ended up going to Buffalo Wild Wings to talk about this music thing he was doing with Mike, who's also in Alive Since Forever, and the rest is just kind of history. So Dom put his foot in the door back when Brockhampton just consisted of Amir, Kevin Abstract, and Romeo. They primarily worked through like online collaboration, so like text messages, emails, like Facebook messages back and forth. And he did all this before he actually eventually decided to move out to Texas while he was still living in Connecticut. But to sort of just go into Dom a little bit more and his role in the group, I would say that Dom consists of really just 4 main traits. He's thoughtful, he's ambitious, he's very determined, but most of all, he's not one for small talk. So he can really come off as like very reserved. If you guys have seen the Nardwuar interview, especially, like you could see that he was probably one of the more quieter people throughout the interview, and that's just how he is. You know, he comes off as reserved in the same way that Matt Champion can kind of come off as a little bit reserved, but they can both be known for just having a lot to say once they finally start rapping. So Dom, along with Joba as well, they both bring like a lot of vulnerability and a lot of honesty to Brockhampton that helps them connect with a lot of audiences. The 2 main themes that they both seem to touch on is just like emotional understanding and EQ, and also just mental health issues. One of the most notable things about Dom was back in October 2017 when he actually wrote something called A Letter to Eugene. So in the letter, he actually responded to a fan where he talked about and shared his own experiences with depression and self-harm, and how sort of Brockhampton and just music in general really just helps them push through those dark times. Dom just really has a very uncanny ability to bounce very fluidly between like very complex thoughts and very straightforward emotions, and I think it really fits like a lot of genuine substance into a lot of his verses. He covers a whole array of topics, and not only that, but you can just sort of feel the passion. You can almost feel the things he felt at one point when he starts rapping. And out of everybody in Brockhampton, he probably has the most logistical approach to the music as a whole. In an interview, Dom actually said that when I started writing Thesis, I approached writing phonetically. Like, how many syllables can create this bar? What syllables can I take to make this flow better? Through the process of making that project, I learned how to write in rhythm first, then fill in the words later. Now, whenever I hear something I plan on being a part of, instead of hearing it bar by bar, I hear it phrase by phrase. It allows me to manipulate the way I'm putting words together and articulate my thoughts properly. I want to write a book on it one day, for real. I think approaching songwriting in the sense of putting your thoughts to a rhythm and a cadence is a lot more freeing than the standard way people write raps. Studying dudes like Cudi all the way to Big L and shit really brought me to that conclusion. So that just goes to show, like, Dom really puts a lot of like brain power and just a lot of emphasis and importance and just like the need for competency with his verses, and that's just a very, very admirable thing. It's weird to think that he is one of the most underrated members in Brockhampton, but I think he really enjoys being the quiet one because he really makes up for it when he starts rapping. Big time musical influence for Dom include Q-Tip, Nas, Wes Montgomery, Billie Holiday, James Blake, and A-Trak. So this has been Dom McLennon in just a couple of minutes, guys. I think, like I said, very respectable member, someone that I personally want to keep my eye on, because I would not be surprised if at some point Dom starts releasing solo projects outside of Brockhampton. So now it's your turn, guys. Let me know, did you learn something about Dom within this video? If so, leave a comment down below. What's something you already knew about him? Did I leave something majorly out? Leave it down below in the comments. Let everybody else know as well. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be putting out the rest of the members' videos like down the road, definitely throughout the week. Next person we're going to cover is Joba. So yeah, thank you guys so much for your support up to this point. I hope you guys learned something through this video, and I will catch you guys in the next video.